My name is Daniel Rodriguez. I'm a solutions engineer at RStudio. And you might be asking, what is RStudio doing in a Python conference, right? Like, raise up your hands if you know what RStudio is and what R is. You have colleagues that are users or stuff like that. Yep.
That's easy to go here.
I know. I also asked that question myself. But the good news is that I'm a Python user and I worked for Anaconda for 4 years before RStudio. So I've been in the PyData ecosystem for a while. And a solutions engineer, the way I describe it to most people is that in the same way that a data scientist is good at better statistics than a software engineer, and I'm better at a software engineer than a statistician, a solutions engineer are the same, but for sales, support, DevOps, and just enough data science in this case for RStudio. So we're a collection of everything, and we mostly work with our Python and R champions in different enterprises to install our enterprise products, configure them to whatever the needs are, bring back feature requests to the product team so we can know what to build next in the next releases of our products. Next slide. Why is that important? And there's a lot of reasons, and I kind of find that was a good way to explain this to my mom what I do. And she didn't, funny enough, sorry about that. Funny enough, the only title that she actually understood what I was doing, it was product manager when I was a product manager in a previous company. And that was the time that I actually understood the least what I was supposed to do. So why is this important is because there is no doubt that Python and R are the default languages for data science today. I think we know that everybody in any university is learning either Python or R, and if they're not learning that, they should. For example, my uncle, who has been working in the telecommunications industry for 30 years, he's now doing a master's in data science, and they're teaching Python and R. So somehow I became the teacher for them when they had to do like their 10 projects and stuff like that. But while that is true for a lot of things, it's actually not that true for the enterprise side of things. There is still a lot that we need to do. There is a lot of reasons of why is that. The main reason is that the unnamed company has a lot of has years and years and decades of time that they've been already selling these enterprise products, and that's the only thing they do. They just focus on selling enterprise, and they're really, really good at that. And on the other hand, we are really good at like creating these amazing communities with a lot of people and democratizing the knowledge and the power of data science. But we are not really that good at enterprise offerings and bringing back the money that we need to fund our communities. So the problem is that also like we don't have those companies that understand what deploying data science mean. And even if Python and R are just software languages, like programming languages, they're just different enough, and our data science assets are different enough to make it really hard to deploy these type of things and scale them. And one of the questions that I ask myself is, what happens if we fail as a community on the enterprise? Like what happened with us, like with the people that we like Python and R and we like hanging out with you guys and stuff like that. I don't think we will fail, but it's something that we need to ask ourselves what will happen in that case. So super quick agenda is an overview of RStudio. There's a lot of misconceptions that I personally had while I was in the PyData community for a while. What is RStudio doing around Python? We're going to talk about Reticulate, Ursa Labs, and also NumFOCUS, and the support for Python inside the RStudio IDE, and then a little bit of Python and R in production and our enterprise products and how we help our customers do that, in both launching Jupyter Notebooks and Jupyter Labs in RStudio Server Pro and publishing Jupyter Notebooks to RStudio Connect. So I will get to that. So RStudio is mostly known for the IDE, and yes, we do the RStudio IDE. Most people think that the only thing we do is professional services, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. We don't do any professional services at all. I don't think we have ever done any professional services in the 10 years of life that RStudio has. All the money comes from enterprise products and licensing also for the IDE. The other thing that people think is that RStudio is the only company that does R and maintains R, and that is also very, very wrong. Like, we have some engineers who work closely with the R team, but it's actually the same way that Anaconda doesn't support Python. R is a bigger project than RStudio, and that's really good news. A quick timeline of RStudio. We just became 10 years old. It was founded in 2009 by JJ. He has a history of building and selling great companies. He sold Cold Fusion to Macromedia a long time ago, and then other products to Microsoft. In 2011 was the first release of the RStudio IDE. He and a small team built that. 2012 was the first release of Shiny, so that's probably the most popular library that Python people know for R. 2014, our first release of enterprise products, RStudio Server Pro and Shiny Server Pro. 2016, we did a big investment into Spark and the tidyverse, and maybe people know the Hadleyverse. Some people are not in their heads. So we consolidated that in 2016 as the tidyverse, and it has grown up a lot. We started to hire a bunch of people to work on that. 2017, another enterprise product, Studio Connect, 18 databases, USA Lab, which is something that I was super surprised when I see. I still remember I was working when I saw the post from Wes McKinney, and I'm like, okay, what is happening here? TensorFlow, we made a big investment for TensorFlow and our enterprise product. 2019, we had 1,700 attendees in our conference. I was one of those attendees this year. I highly recommend that you go and see a different side of the community. I was very surprised of the quality of the speakers and the quality of the people that go there. We're doing it again in January on San Francisco. If you're around, you're more than welcome to go, of course. And the second big investment we did this year is a Python and Jupyter support in both the open source and the enterprise products. So RStudio does employ a lot of people that do the most popular R libraries, ggplot, dplyr, and my favorites are Markdown and Shiny as a Python user. But there's also like a huge community in the same way that we have NumPy, Pandas, and scikit-learn. We have libraries on top of that, and then other libraries on top of that. R is very similar, just different names with a lot of R's, which make it really hard to pronounce for a Colombian like me. And then the other part is that we have enterprise products. So, well, I'm going to talk about this quickly, because I don't want to sell that much, and just enterprise stuff. But we have RStudio Server Pro, RStudio Connect, and we're going to talk about those two things here. And RStudio Package Manager is the third one, but it doesn't have any Python support for now, so I'm not going to talk that much about that. The important part here is that all these tools are open source and accessible to everyone. And then we have enterprise products that we sell, and we take that investment and we create this cycle of development and selling more products and making R better and Python better and selling more enterprise products and creating this cycle. But if one part is missing, if open source tools are missing, our products lose almost all their value. If Shiny didn't exist, we wouldn't sell any enterprise products, for example. But if we don't have people buying our enterprise products, at the same time, we cannot invest back into the community. And sadly, there is very few companies that have a similar model like this. One of the things that we're very proud of is how many of our company are engineers. So 54% of the company is engineering. I'm not part of that number, even if my title is solutions engineer, because I'm not coding every day. I'm doing any enterprise development or open source development. And 54% of that engineering is open source, which is a really, really big number, and we're really proud of that. And it can show you what RStudio thinks of the future. RStudio is a company that really, really wants to be here in 100 years. The president right now says only 40, and then he will take it to 40, and then other people will take it to 100. But once you have that mentality, it really changes the way you work and you create products and think about the future and the people you hire and everything, really. So that is something really powerful that we have, and I like it a lot. So RStudio and Python. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. So I'm going to talk about stuff that we've done this year, but there's a lot of stuff that is been happening on the behind the scenes, and there is a lot more stuff that is going to happen next year that I'm really excited to. And again, RStudio has a really unique approach that I haven't seen in other companies about how to do open source and how to do these things. So I'm really happy, and I would like everyone to join us in this journey. The first thing that we did, this is older than this year, but that was introduced last year, is Reticulate. So Reticulate is an R library and it's free and open source for everybody to use. And it allows Python and R users to share code and libraries and data between the two languages. In a different way, you probably have heard about Arrow, and I'm going to talk about Arrow a little bit later. But this is a different way. This is, you start an R shell, and the R shell creates a Python interpreter inside that, and it controls that Python interpreter, and it creates some very specific variables, and it allows you to change code and libraries between data and libraries between those two languages. It allows a lot of flexibility for our users to use some libraries that they don't have in Python. I'm going to show a couple of examples on what kind our users do. But on the Python side, it allows Python users to use presentations, libraries like Shiny and R Markdown, which are honestly very powerful and they're years ahead of what Python has to offer right now. They're both based on R and Python C++ APIs, and this is really nice if you ever use RPy2 or something like that. You can know the best for the licensing and the kind of the functionality it offers. But particularly, I was really surprised on the way it works because it's based on these C++ APIs. All this stuff just translates very natively between R and Python. So a dictionary becomes an R list, and data frame in Python in the pandas becomes an R data frame. So everything just works as you would expect it to work. Super quick on this code. We have a Python function that it could do like a crazy physics based on the PDA solver, whatever that means. And you pass a dictionary and a data frame, and it returns a dictionary and that function. And inside R, you can, for example, source this Python script, or you could import it if it was an actual Python library, and you just call the run simulation function. And that is doing, a reticular is doing all the magic of like creating a Python interpreter, sourcing that code, calling the function, and translating from R objects to Python objects. In this case, it returns an R list, which is different than a Python list. But the important thing is that it maps really nice to whatever you would expect as an R user in this case, or as a Python user. And this is like how would you use a Python library if you were an R user. In this case, R doesn't have a Google Maps API, Python does, right? So you can see the code all looks the same. There's of course idioms in R that are different than in Python. But the important part is the first line. You're importing Google Maps in Python, and you're also like importing Google Maps in R using reticulate. And the rest of the code is just converting the logic from one language to the other. But this allows you to the R users to use some Python libraries that don't exist in R, but also if you have like a proprietary library, that's what we see the most in the enterprise. It allows you to like, okay, somebody in my team wrote this Python library, I want to use it in R. I don't want to convert to Python, it's a lot of code. So you can just use proprietary libraries very easily from R. I have a small video, let's see how this works here. Can I click on this guy? Yes, okay. So, oh my God, this is, let's see. I wanted to pause it. Nope, I cannot pause, okay. Let's see how this works. So this is an R Markdown file, and it's importing reticulate, is using the NYC dataset to create a CSV, then it's importing, this is a Python chunk into R Markdown, it's using pandas to do some really simple data cleaning, and then it's using the PyY variable in R to plot it using ggplot, which is something that for years people like, what is the ggplot for Python? And it could be ggplot too, right? It could be the same thing. One of the nice things about R Markdown is that you can have Python and R chunks in the same file. So that is one part of that. One key part of that powers this R Markdown notebook. Then in R Markdown you can render this to almost whatever. It's really incredible the way this works. You can render to PDFs, to PowerPoints, to Word documents, to like almost anything, which is something really, really nice. Another example I'll show, 35, yeah, maybe I don't have that much time. Okay, let's try to do it quickly and see if I can. Oh boy, I cannot click on this guy now. Let me see. I need to move this guy now. Okay, this is great. Where is this? Oh boy, I don't see my mouse. There we go. There we go. Anyway, so this is a Shiny app. This is running like a live Shiny app, and all the logic of the Shiny app is built in Python, but all the front end is built in Shiny. And in this case, it's doing two things. It's using the Google Maps API that I said that it doesn't exist in R. So it's using the Python one to build that map. And then it's also using a model that is trained in Python that it was published. I don't remember exactly by who. There is documentation in the other link. But basically it's making some prediction about something like, I don't remember exactly what it does, but it's a Python model. And the person who built this, an R user, he does Shiny. He built this in like an hour because Shiny has these really, really nice APIs for frontend, and you can build stuff like this extremely easy. And then he took him like, I don't know, another hour to just map to all the Python stuff. And I was able to build a really nice dashboard using a Python library and a Python model that was impossible to load from R before. So yeah, it was really nice. So you can build this reticulated Shiny app. That's how we call this kind of connection of both things. Let's go back to this guy. Perfect. The code is in the GitHub if you want to take a look. The second thing I want to say and to mention is investment that our studio has been doing more around like funding other people, not just building libraries. But so the first one is Ursa Labs. I was personally super surprised when I saw the announcement 2018, when Wes, you probably saw this, Wes posted this announcement of Ursa Labs. And our studio was one of the first two companies that sponsored this innovation lab for data science tools. And the idea that we want to have like an independent lab for the development of multilingual data science tools. So our studio is super, how do you say this? Well, it's super committed to help this type of people and this type of tools to get out there. There has been a lot of work into Ursa Labs. They mostly are focusing right now on Apache Arrow, but when you talk to them, they have a plan to do more things. And we have been talking about Arrow for a long time, and most people are not gonna see their impact directly. But there's a lot of reasons to be excited, even if you just read data, if you just read CSVs or read Parquet data locally. That's just super exciting by itself because it's going to speed up all your stuff a lot. But there is stuff like flights to move data from it's like a transfer framework to move data from one place to another, from a server to a client or multiple clients. So this is all super exciting. Our studio is part of the teams that are doing this, and the other part is that I find exciting is the work that Rapids is doing, and there's a couple of talks about Rapids, and there's also a booth that I recommend you to go. So NVIDIA is doing a lot of investment as well in Ursa Labs, and using Arrow as this base layer for doing speeding up computation in the GPU and having this standard memory layout for data frames. Another investment that our studio is doing is actually being part of NumFOCUS, and this just got released. So maybe you saw the our studio logo on the NumFOCUS banner there. And we're really happy to make this investment. We're just really committed. Like now that our studio is starting to do stuff in Python, we're really committed to helping the community. Like how can we help Jupyter, Python, Pandas, and all these other Arrow, like all these libraries and all these people mostly that work on them to do more stuff. So I'm really happy to be one of the corporate sponsors of NumFOCUS now. Cool. So. Those are some of the stuff that we do on the open source that are like, you're going to get benefits of that immediately. Some of the stuff that we do around using Python and R in production is that, what could go wrong deploying a Python and R model, right? Like a lot of things, honestly. But, and like I mentioned, like there are both languages. Like how hard could it be to deploy a Python file? Like, it sounds really easy, but the thing is that they are just different enough. The assets are different enough. They're not transactional. The amount of data is 1 or 2 orders of magnitude different than what people are used to when deploying applications. When you deploy a Shiny app, you need an R process, which is something that IT is not used to deploy. All these R processes at a scale. They're not used to R. They're not used to Python in some cases. I still hear every day, Python is not fast enough, R is not fast enough, we cannot deploy the Shiny app, blah, blah, blah. And these are all myths in a lot of ways, but they're also true in some other ways. And the work is not done. It's an ongoing process. And honestly, we are really excited to, we're really, not excited, I'm excited to listen to what people are facing, but also like open to hearing what can we do better on this space, because I think, like I said at the beginning, is pretty important. That we get this right, or we won't really succeed, I believe. So to help with that, we have three products. I'm going to talk about two. The first one is our Studio Server Pro, and it allows to scale Python and R development within a maintained environment that fosters collaboration. What that really means is that you install our Studio Server Pro in a server, you connect it to your authentication, you connect it to your scheduler if you have something like Kubernetes or Slurm, and it allows you to launch Jupyter Notebook now, Jupyter Notebook and Jupyter Lab, and also our Studio sessions, our Studio IDE sessions in that server. So everyone is working in the same environment. The IT team can manage our libraries, our versions, Python libraries, Python versions. It connects with LDAP, SAML, all the good things that IT wants. And it allows data scientists to be in the same environment and collaborate. You can share projects with one person and another, all the good stuff that people want. The second one is RStudio Connect, and Connect is our content hub and execution engine for your data products. Again, what that means is that you can take the code and apps and notebooks that you have in your laptop or in the RStudio Server Pro and put it out there so people can look at it. So what we have done in the last year is allow Jupyter users to deploy Jupyter notebooks to RStudio Connect, and you can schedule those to be run at a certain time. You can deploy, of course, Shiny, and you can deploy R Markdown documents as well. So it's like this place where all your data assets live, and it's tailored to this type of like workflows, right? Like I said, they're sometimes different, and it's tailored for those things. RStudio Package Manager is super quick. It allows you to create a mirror of CRAN behind your firewall. It doesn't have any support for Python today, so I'm not going to talk a lot about that. But it's something that people don't think a lot. I guess maybe we in the PyData community, because of Anaconda, we take a lot of packages for granted, but it's really important that we have an enterprise offering around that as well. Anyway, I'll stop with packages there. One of the things that we believe in RStudio is to use your favorite tools as you like to use them. And for our people, it's RStudio, and for Python people, it's usually Jupyter notebooks, right? So we're really proud of that, and we don't really give you anything on top of that, and that is intentional. We don't want to have this magic library that does, I don't know, collaboration in Jupyter, so you can have like Google Docs, Jupyter stuff. Like if we were to do that, we will do it in the open source, and then we will reuse that into our enterprise products. But we just use the tools that people want to use. And the second part is that we run this in your favorite places. So a lot of people are adopting Kubernetes. A lot of people have adopted in the past Slurm, and we allow our enterprise users to run whenever they want it. It could be a single server, it could be multiple servers, it could be in Kubernetes, it could be in Slurm, it could be a combination of those, it could be multiple Kubernetes. Some people do that. They have one for development, for staging, for production. So we allow customers to do that. And all these things that look like we don't decide for you is because we want to make our products as customizable as possible, so we can customize them for whatever specific the customer needs they have. Yeah, this is like a small architecture diagram. So you have RStudio Server Pro installed, and the thing that allows you to launch Kubernetes stuff is called Launcher, and we have a Kubernetes plugin, and you can have multiple sessions into that Kubernetes cluster that are all powered by Docker, and you can add a Python logo. I forgot to add the Python logo there, but just add the Python and Jupyter logo to the side of Fire, and you can just deploy these things. I'll have a video on how that works. And again, you can have a combination of multiple, a server or Kubernetes or Slurm or multiple of those. It's really flexible. Let's see how this video works. So this is the RStudio Server UI. Super quickly before the show, you can select the editor that you want: RStudio, Jupyter Notebook, or Jupyter Lab. And when you select that, in a second, you can see there is below this is Kubernetes, cluster Kubernetes. This is running Kubernetes. I can select the CPU, the memory, and the image that I want to use. When I click that, it launches a new Jupyter Notebook session. When I click that, it will give me just my regular Jupyter UI. I can click on the notebook and see, regular notebook. This is, like I said, there is nothing really weird happening. But because it's really transparent, it's also really powerful to the users. And we also don't do anything weird around how you should manage this. This is the Kubernetes dashboard, and you can see very transparently what RStudio Server Pro is doing there. I think that's the end of the video. Let's see. It goes back to here. I don't think there's anything. You can just go back to the homepage, whatever. Yeah, I think that's all it does. Maybe, yeah, I think it stops right there. Cool. And the other video is how it works to deploy these notebooks, right? So that was RStudio Server Pro, launch RStudio IDs and Jupyter notebooks in a server or Kubernetes or whatever. And how you deploy this is RStudio Connect. So this is the same RStudio Server ID, and there's one little button there that is a Jupyter plugin and it connects to RStudio Connect. You paste an API key, and you have the option to deploy just the published document or the document with source. And if you deploy with source, you're gonna be able to schedule this and rerun this notebook whenever you want it. So for example, if it's doing an ETL process and it connects to a Spark or whatever, you're able to, first of all, share to the people who have access to that, and then schedule it to be executed whenever you want. And you can get an email, for example, or send an email to very specific people every time it runs. So like I said, you can connect this to, you can write any code you want. It's a Jupyter notebook. It could connect to a database, it could connect to a Spark, it could connect to Hive, and it will just execute this notebook when you tell it to execute. You have all the logs, you have integration again with whatever authentication you need, Active Directory, SAML, Auth2, whatever. You have access to control. One of the nice things that it does is that you don't have to think about the libraries, because both for deploying Shiny and for deploying Jupyter Notebooks, it takes a look at what dependencies you have locally and it reproduces that environment. So you're able to change that, of course, but by default, it will just work for most people. Even, like if you have Anaconda, you have one environment, it will reproduce Anaconda for each one of these projects. So each of those will be independent. And like I said, they will just work. You have all the logs and you have all the nice IT features that people want. Okay. So just to end really quickly, I have 4 more minutes. I just want to, I want to share a perspective from a person who was in the PyData community and now works for RStudio. But like I said, RStudio is doing a lot of investment in the PyData community, so I hope to stay with all you guys. But yeah, I have 10 more. Okay, cool. I was running up pretty quick. Okay, I have more minutes. Okay, so what I was saying, yeah. Oh yeah, so I've had this perspective of working for 2 different ecosystems, companies, but like I said, we're going to be friendly with each other, whatever. One of the things that I realized that we need to learn more from each other. For a long time, we're like, oh, you shouldn't learn Python, you shouldn't learn R, you should learn the one I like, right? And that doesn't really get us anywhere. But I also don't want to just to be super friendly and whatever. I think the competition between R and Python is really good. When you start looking at the 2 timelines together of and if you look at just the Python timeline, you can see Pandas, Scikit-learn, NumPy before, all these people working this, Travis, Wes, and all the people who work on that from Matplotlib as well. But when you put them together with R, you get a really nice perspective on how they have worked and build stuff on top of each other and steal ideas from each other, and that's really good. I will really like to for all of us to go to R and see what they're doing better, right? Shiny and R Modern are really, really good, and we're not even close to those things. So let's just go there and steal their ideas, and they can come to us and steal our good ideas. And that is great, and I think that is what really gonna makes us successful at the end. So I would say don't be dismissive and actually go and learn a little bit about that. Go to our Studio Conf. You're in San Francisco. I think you're gonna learn a lot. I did, at least, to see a different perspective on all these things. What else do I want to say here? Just like I said, just steal ideas from each other, but be friends with their people as well. Their people as well. They're nice. They're nice. Anyway, I'm done here. Some call to actions. Follow me on Twitter. I need more followers to create my personal brand or whatever. Everybody's doing it. I need to do it as well. Try Reticulate and Shiny if you haven't. I think you will, I was surprised. I was a hater. I'll be honest. When they told me about this, I'm like, yeah, there's no way this is nice. But it's pretty nice, actually. So try it. I think you will be surprised until you'll be able to build really nice dashboards and be like, I didn't know how to build a freaking dashboard in Bootstrap. Now I can do it with Reticulate and 50 lines or 30 lines of R. And, R, I'm not it's not my favorite language. I like Python, but, it's not the end of the world. It will work. And you will get a lot of it because Shiny has years and years of being proven of being a really, really nice API. All the reactive stuff that they have is really, really well done. And even though we have Dash and other libraries now in Python, they're really not there yet once you start looking under the hood. We also have 40-day trial for our pro products that are free to use. You just have to put an email, but you can put a fake email if you want. That's okay. Don't tell the marketing people that I said that. They're completely free, no strings attached. 45 days, and you can just try them. And really easy to install. You download an RPM, you install it, or a Debian file, you run one configuration file, you install it. You can send me a tweet and I'll help you install it. That's fine. I'll do something like that. I'll do whatever for you guys to try that. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
So I have a question about the integration on Pro Server with RStudio and the NumFOCUS.
Yep.
Are there plans to, are those going to be sort of tightly integrated into sort of share sessions, or do you have to flip between the two interfaces, or is the idea that you sort of launch separate
right.
that are isolated to one another?
Right, so you can, so when you, I don't have, let's see. So yeah, the idea is that you basically can today open one RDE session and one Jupyter session. And I can show you this later. On the same file system, right? Because it's a mount. So when you go to Kubernetes or stuff like that, it's the same file that we mount. It's the same mount. It's a network attached. It's an NFS server, whatever. So it's the same file system, and you can just create an R file in RDE, and it will show up in the Jupyter Notebook when you refresh or whatever. So it's completely integrated. You just have to create one section of each of those. Yeah.
In terms of, you're not like showing Jupyter Notebooks in the RStudio IDE.
No, we don't have plans for that. We do have plans for like improving support of Python in the IDE. You can today write Python files in the IDE, and you can use R Markdown to write Python code. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we do have plans of improving that. It might be using like the Jupyter protocol to create an actual Jupyter notebook in the IDE and maybe having a different UI. That might be the one thing that happens. But yeah, right now it's just two independent IDEs, right? Yeah.
So, very interested.
Thank you.
I'm curious, when you're switching between R and Python, like if you have something, let's say something simple like a data frame, could you call it using both in like different cells? Or if you're like, df.apply whatever,
right.
do your thing, and then, df $,
right.
whatever.
So you definitely can, and sadly I couldn't pause in the video because I wanted to show you how it works. But when you start the reticulation, it creates a PyY variable, and you can do PyY. This is to call Python functions, but all the names you can just get them back, and the variable can get them back in R. And in Python you can do the same. There's an R variable, so you can do R dot whatever. So you can definitely share all the stuff from those two things. Yeah.
As long as I can find Apache.
That's right. Yeah, it's really nice. So give it a try. Yeah. Anyway.
Could you compare reticulate against RP2?
Right. So there's two big difference between those two. The first one is the license. Reticulate is Apache license, so you can, it's Apache 2.0 license. You can use whatever. If I remember correctly, RPy2 is AGPL maybe. Something like that, right? So if you're able to use it, but in theory, if you use it for something proprietary, you have to open source it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know about licenses, but licensing in RPy2 is not the best. So that's one big difference. And the second one is that I don't know exactly how RPy2 works. The first time I used it, I kind of hated my life. And the first time I used a reticulate, I'm like, okay, this is actually better. I was expecting the same thing as RPy2, and this is actually really nice. And I think the big difference, I'm not an expert on any of this, is that reticulate is based on the core R and C and Python C++ APIs, and that gives them an advantage on how everything works behind the scenes. And the other difference is that to use reticulate, you need to create an R session, and that R session spins up a Python interpreter. For RPy2, I think is the opposite. Like you have a Python session, and that will connect to a running R session. So those are like kind of some differences that they exist.
Yeah, I actually had a question about that. Reticulate, do the two sessions end up in the same OS process, or are they separate processes?
They're separate processes, so you can see them like in the process manager. Yeah.
So it sounds more robust.
It sounds what?
It sounds more robust. That's
right.
The problem with RP2.
That's another problem. Okay.
In the same process.
That's right. So that's one difference. Yeah. Cool. Final question? No? Oh yeah.
So what are you working on next?
So let's stop the recording. So we're definitely more interested on hearing what you guys are doing. So come talk to me and see what you need. I'll be super happy to listen and bring back the feature to the product team. We are, one thing that people want, and I bet most of you will tell me, is like, I hate Otter, I hate Shiny, I want to deploy my Flask app. This is not the first time we hear that. So we will definitely do something around that in our Studio Connect. That's the first thing that we will be doing probably early next year. So more Python stuff is definitely on the roadmap for us.
Can you do more like ARMS data?
Well, like what?
I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Final question? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.